Hello everyone, I am Achille Tsana. I am from the Faculty of Economics and Management of the University of Mons in Belgium. My topic is about Federalism in Cameroon, evolution and prospect. Our research tries to provide an answer to the problem of local government financing in Cameroon in the light of findings from the theory of fiscal federalism. It is a Central African country. It is a multi-community and multicultural country, and this country experienced consecutive the Portuguese, the German, and the Franco-British occupation. So that indeed, when the country became independent on the 1st January 1916, it inherited a federal system left by the Franco-British administration, and then the country has two entities who called the Northern and Southern Cameroon. Subsequently, after its independence, the country underwent two major structural changes. First of all, at 1972, the country moved to the federal system to the centralized unitary system following a referendum. And after, in 1996, following a constitutional revision, the country moved to the centralized unitary system to decentralization model. And then the aim of the setting up of this decentralization system was to confer a certain financial and decisional autonomy on the local government in order to promote the development at the bottom level, given to the failure of experienced by the unitary centralized system. However, the observation made after the several decades of decentralization practice in Cameroon show that the local government are still struggling to mobilize sufficient financial resources to finance their local public policy. And then it's based on this background that we are interested in the issue of the federalism in Cameroon as alternative way to improve the financing of the local collectivities in this country. Research used empirical and theoretical literature of public finance, and then we try to show that fiscal federalism and decentralization could overcome the growing concern about the local government financing in Cameroon if autonomy and accountability are the real key drivers this process of federalism. Our research question is to know how can fiscal federalism contribute to improving the local government financing in Cameroon. And to answer this question, we assume that the reinforcement of the autonomy of local collectivity increase their fiscal capacity and thus contribute favorably to raising the internal resources necessary to finance the local policy. This presentation will divide into 3 points. There are several definitions of the concept of federalism, but in the case of this presentation, I've chosen one because according to me, it's a simple and relatively complex definition. And this definition is given by the CRSP, who is the Centre de Recherche d'Information Sociopolitique. And it's defined a federalism as a system of state organization in which power are shared between a federal authority and federated entities. According to George Sell, a federal state is an entity which from the national point of view absorbs all the states which compose it. The federal state has its territory, its government, and its own administration. And then the federal state shares the internal sovereignty with the other associated states, but has sole the external sovereignty. And the concept of fiscal federalism refers to the financing mechanism between all the federated entities, including policy, the allocation key of the intergovernment transfer, etc. One of the major sources of fiscal federalism theory is the Walter's decentralization theorem. This theorem stipulates that if there are no cost advantages associated with centralized service delivery, then a decentralized model of public service delivery reflecting difference in cost across the jurisdiction will improve welfare compared to a centralized outcome characterized by uniform level of delivery across jurisdiction. According to the author, every public services should be provided by the entity that has control over the geographical territory where the service is provided, thus internalizing the benefit of providing the service. This theorem constitutes a key foundation of a fiscal federalism. According to the literature of public finance, we distinguish two major currents of thought which dominated the debate on the theory of fiscal federalism. First of all, we have the first generation theory, we call it theory normative. That theory focused on the essential notion of local specificity. According to this theory, the local government will be more willing to maximize the social welfare of the resident by providing them with specific goods adapted to their needs. And this theory assumes that the revenue of taxation has been centralized to the central government level, and then the expenditure has been decentralized on the local government level. Many of those assumptions have been rejected by the second generation theory of fiscal federalism, who say that the local government whose actions are targeted at the satisfaction of social welfare is because this theory assumes that the local leader may be attempt to act to achieve their own personal interests at the expense to the communities. Therefore, relevant economic structure should be established by increasing of fiscal accountability. Then we will focus to the local government Then we will focus to the local government financing mechanism in Cameroon. In Cameroon, the financing of local collectivities come from two main sources: the internal revenue and the intergovernmental transfer. At first, we have a bit of general taxation where the taxes are collected at the local government and centralized to this office. And after this office, they transfer the all of amount of taxation collected to the FECOM. The FECOM is the Special Fund of Equipment and Intercommunal Intervention. In Cameroon, they call it the Bank of the Commune. And it's inside this institution that the sharing have been made like this. The key repartition is the 10% central states, the 20% is remain to the FECOM, and the 70% is the amount who has been shared to all the 360 collectivities in Cameroon. To this 70% shared, 40% return to the local collectivities as the internal source revenue, and the remaining one, the 60%, is used as solidarity mechanism. Concerning the theoretical finding, we can say that there is main source of financing of local government. We can distinguish the internal revenue sources, the intergovernmental transfer, and the mixed financing system. Whatever the financing method adopted, the objective is fulfilled. Can be represented by what Pagano called the magic square of objective of fiscal federalism. It's a square who is composed by four objectives, who are the solidarity, the accountability, the autonomy, and the competition. And then, however, for this magic square, it results a duality between the couple of objectives, especially the couple solidarity accountability and the couple solidarity autonomy. Turning the empirical finding, we have Fukasaku and Temelo, who show that the fiscal decentralization has a positive impact on the fiscal situation on level government when the expenditure are fully financed by the internal resources. And one other study by Demelo showed that the TD countries that have a federal structure tend to provide a significant degree of fiscal autonomy to local government in order to reduce their dependence on governmental transfer and subsidies and increase their internal financing capacity. This is the case of the country like Belgium, Germany, Switzerland, Canada, and United States of America. Choosing a country like Nigeria, who is an African country like Cameroon, and who has many similitude, cultural similitude, historical similitude, like Cameroon, here I find that related to the study of Nanso Allo, he shows that Nigeria fiscal federalism problem is associated with the funding of Nigeria local government. The cause are what he called the excessive dependence of the local government to the federal allocation. According to the Nanso Allo, the local government in Nigeria are too much dependent to the local federal allocation. And then he shows some example. He compared the financing of local government in Nigeria by the one in United States and United Kingdom. We can constate that in United States, for example, the financial transfer represent 37% against 62%, who is the internal resource of the local government. But in Nigeria, we can constate that the internal resources represent only 8%, and the rest until 85% is come from the allocation given by the state government. In conclusion, we find that in a federal system, the local government can be financing by many modes of financement. We have the internal source of revenue, we have the governmental transfer, we can have the subsidies and the debt. Started, we assume that the reinforcement of the autonomy of local government increase their fiscal capacity and thus contribute favorably to the mobilization of the internal resource needed by the local government to finance their local policies. In this paper, we have tried to show that while both theory of fiscal federalism should be taken up, the Cameroonian case misses the local decentralization on several aspects: the low level of fiscal autonomy, dysfunctional control on local budget and transfer, and territorial discrimination and equalization. On this finding, we can conclude that if Cameroon is willing to adopt a federal structure, it will not only have to correct the upset fiscal failure, but will also have to consider the diversity of its population, the geographical and linguistic content, and develop check on the balance that are sufficiently strong to pave the way for the local development and the efficient allocation of public goods. So, thank you everyone.